Hi, readers. Today we are focusing on the skill of analyzing the settings in our books. We have spent a lot of time focusing on some other skills like characters and making connections. And today our focus is on figuring out how the setting really takes place in our books and what the role is. Now, of course, the setting includes three different things in our books. It includes the place, it includes the time, and it includes the environment. Now, all of these three things we do know, but they might get a little confusing in our head. Now, the place is like the specific location, city, town, like exactly where something is, like a physical location, maybe someone's house. The time has to do with maybe the date, the year, the season, the month, or maybe time in history, because some of you are reading fantasy books that either take place way in the future or maybe way in the past. The environment are things that affect the setting, things like weather, the surroundings, the conditions, whether something's dark or light, or the mood. So if you are reading a book and the environment has to do heavily with the snow in the winter, you might have a dark tone to your book. The reason that the setting is so important is because it helps describe what's going on and it gets all of us to really visualize what's going on in the story. Another reason is it influences the characters and the events of a story, especially time. If we are reading a story about the future, our story will be timed, hundreds of years from now. It wouldn't be a story in 1999 about the future because that wouldn't make sense. So the setting influences who your characters are, the way they dress, and how the story goes. It also could affect the characters' actions and choices. In the environment, if it's snowy, your character's probably not going to wear flip-flops. So there is a link between the environment, the time, and the place, and all of your characters. And as always, as we read and then we think, we can write about the setting in our story. Today, there are only 4 sentence starters that you can choose from. So this story takes place. I would describe the setting as. The setting is important to the story because, and if the story took place in another setting, blah, 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 maybe it would be different, maybe it would be the same. Now, I, of course, was thinking about our class Read Aloud Ungifted. And I wanted to analyze the 3 different pieces in our story. So I wanted to think about the time, I wanted to think about the place, and I also wanted to think about the environment. So I tried to think about all 3. So first I started with, let's see, I should edit this because this says setting. So I would describe the setting as, here we go, as modern date in time. So time is modern day, which means now, because all the characters seem to have cell phones and are interested in hanging out at the mall with their friends. So I made a connection. These are the things that I like to do. So it seemed to me like modern day, like it's happening right now. It's not in the future. It's not in the past. Now, the environment is things like the weather, the tone, light and dark. I said the environment hasn't come into play yet in the book because the tone and the weather has stayed the same throughout the book. There hasn't been any big winter storms. There hasn't been anything that really throws off the environment in our book. Now, if you're reading a book about Hurricane Katrina, the weather really comes into play. So some of your books might be really focused on the environment. This is where I said was really most important, is that the story takes place at 2 different places. So the place is two different places, Hardcastle Middle School and the academy mostly. Yes, they're at Donovan's house. Yes, they're at the mall, but these are like the 2 places. And I said this is important because it shows the difference in brains and interests of all of the characters. As you read today, you are going to be analyzing the place, the time, and the environment in your books using the following sentence starters. Good luck, readers.